Tonight, the race for the White House rounds the final turn as Joe Biden heads south.
I think we have a fighting chance in North Carolina. We have a fighting chance in Georgia.
President Trump continues his sprint across the country. The campaign latest. Plus,
Justice Barrett, as you take your oath tonight, the legacy of our ancestors falls to you.
Amy Coney Barrett becomes the newest member of the United States Supreme Court. And how charities are changing tactics to try to stay afloat during the coronavirus pandemic. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
With the finish line in sight, the presidential candidates begin their final 7-day sprint to Election Day. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jenna Browder.
Good evening. I'm John Jessup. Well, just a week now between now and Election Day, and both President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden are back out on the campaign trail.
While President Trump is focusing on battleground states, today Biden campaigned in a state typically, John, seen as a Republican stronghold. CBN White House correspondent Ben Kennedy is following the campaigns and has our top story. Ben?
Well, Jenna, John, today Joe Biden traveled to Florida to try to turn a red state blue. Georgia has not been won by a Democrat since 1992.
A few weeks ago, I spoke at Gettysburg about the need to unite our nation. And today, I'm here at Warm Springs because I want to talk about how we're going to heal our nation.
As for President Trump, he hit 3 states today that he won back in 2016. We're talking about Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. Now, he spoke to reporters before boarding Air Force One, where he was asked the last time he spoke to President Xi of China about the coronavirus.
It's been a while. It's been a while. What they did, not particularly, what they did was a very bad thing to the world. Not only to the U.S., but to the world, what China did. I'm not going to tell you, Jeff. I'm not going to tell you.
Now, you saw First Lady Melania Trump in that video, President Trump answering questions. Well, they went separate ways. She went to Pennsylvania for her first solo campaign event. She gave remarks alongside former counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway. This as former President Barack Obama traveled to Florida to stump for his former VP, where President Trump's response to the pandemic took center stage.
And what's his closing argument? That people are too focused on COVID. He said this at one of his rallies. COVID, 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 he's complaining. He's jealous of COVID's media coverage.
And Biden plans to campaign in 6 states leading up to the November 3rd election. As for President Trump, his campaign plans to hold 11 rallies in just 48 hours. John, Jenna?
All right, Ben Kennedy, thank you very much. Well, early voting is underway in many states across the country. The United States Elections Project reporting more than 66 million Americans have already cast their ballots. With still a week to go, that's more people than participated in early voting in 2016 as a whole. Battleground states are being watched especially close. The New York Times reporting nearly half of all early votes have come from key battleground states.
Well, evangelicals often are the first to come to mind when people think of faith voters, but this election cycle, both presidential nominees are also targeting another religious group, Catholics. They're perceived as a crucial voting bloc, creating a pathway perhaps to the presidency. The Trump campaign says it's seeing Catholic excitement for the president.
The energy is something like I hadn't even seen in 2016. I was campaigning for Congress in 2016, so I was actually out in South Carolina, so I got a feel for the Trump energy, but it was nothing like this. We said the rosary at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in South Philadelphia on a Tuesday and had 60 people. I don't know if that's ever happened in a presidential campaign before. So the energy levels are extraordinarily high. The volunteerism is extraordinarily high. Keep in mind, one of the things that the Democrats have done is trying to convince the country that COVID is a death sentence, is that they've convinced their supporters not to go out and work on the ground, whereas the Trump team has one of the single best, if not the best, grassroots ground networks I've ever seen in politics. So, again, everything is setting up to be a very, very tight election, I think, next Tuesday night.
According to a Pew Research poll out earlier this month, white Catholic voters are more likely to support President Trump in 2020, 52% to Biden's 44%, though Hispanic Catholics tend to back Biden, 67% to 26%.
And Chief Political Analyst David Brody joins us now. David, both candidates appealing to different segments of the Catholic vote. Should that come as a surprise, given there is a Catholic at the top of the Democratic ticket?
No, I don't think so. Look, you've got two streams of consciousness, if you will, within the Catholic vote, right? You've got the social justice gospel, if you will, that's something Joe Biden is talking about. And you've got Donald Trump saying, look, pro-life, religious liberty. What about the teachings of the Catholic Church from a traditional perspective? So you've got two spheres, if you will, and that's what we're seeing play out. But let's remember about the Catholic vote, John and Jenna. Donald Trump won the overall Catholic vote, 52% to 45% over Hillary Clinton. Remember, Barack Obama actually won the Catholic vote over Romney 4 years before that. So, you know, this is a crucial vote, something I'm going to be watching on election night, especially in those Rust Belt states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and let me think, Pennsylvania.
David, as you heard Jenna say earlier, early voting now eclipses the early vote from all of 2016. What does that signal to you, and who right now stands to benefit?
Well, I think it's a little too early to tell exactly what the final numbers are going to be because the early voting is changing. Remember, mail-in balloting, which is part of early voting, was favoring at least registered Democrats. At least that's what we have a sense of it at that point. Now, however, now we're going into early voting, as in you're standing online and you're actually voting at the polls early on. And that seems to have cut some of that Democrat lead. So it's kind of a mixed bag at this point. Bottom line is Democrats really have to run up the early voting totals a lot more than they are now to win in November, because the sense is, at least on election night, there'll probably be more voting for Trump on that evening. So that's why it's important that that early voting be a whopping advantage for Democrats. That's still unknown at this point.
David, Joe Biden in Georgia today. No Democrat has won Georgia since Bill Clinton back in 1992. Yet that's where Biden was. Is Georgia ready to turn blue, David?
Well, there are three sources that I'm talking to say it's going to be very tight, very close in Georgia, maybe by a percentage point or two, maybe a little bit more. But I think this could be a colossal mistake by the Biden campaign. Look, Georgia typically, as we know, has gone Republican. It was kind of like Virginia for a while when Virginia started turning purple. We're starting to possibly see that, but we're on the early cusp of that. So they're not in Virginia land yet. They're still Republican. So here's the problem for Biden's camp. If they decide to play in Georgia, which he is, he's got two events, as you were mentioning, today in Georgia. That's one day less in a Wisconsin, in a Pennsylvania, in a Michigan. And if they lose, if the Biden campaign loses because Trump wins one of those three Rust Belt states, which is what Trump has to do, they're going to kick themselves because they were in Georgia 6 days or 7 days ago before an election.
David, we only have about a half minute left. In the next week, what are you going to be looking out for to kind of signal what we might anticipate come Election Day?
Well, there's a lot to look for. I mean, I'll be honest with you. At this point, I want to see if Biden, I want to see where Biden goes. I think you'll have a sense of the strategy from the Biden campaign as to what states he's playing for. I think right now, look, they're going to go to Georgia, as we talked about, Texas as well. If he starts to go to the Rust Belt states even more than I think he's going to go to, that could signal that they see something internally that they don't like. So we'll wait and see.
All right, David Brody, we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, tonight, a new justice sits on the U.S. Supreme Court. Justice Amy Coney Barrett was sworn in last night at the White House.
That's right, Jenna. And now many want to know, what will Joe Biden do if he's elected? Paul Strand reports.
A month to the day after President Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett, Justice Clarence Thomas swore her in at a White House ceremony. Still, her opponents fought to the very end, insisting her confirmation process was rushed and wrong.
This Republican majority is ramming this nomination through only because they can.
Barrett backers maintain the process followed the Constitution, and the president spoke of Barrett's sacred place in history.
Justice Barrett, as you take your oath tonight, the legacy of our ancestors falls to you. The American people put their trust in you and their faith in you as you take up the task of defending our laws, our Constitution, and this country that we all love.
I love the Constitution and the democratic republic that it establishes, and I will devote myself to preserving it.
After this party line confirmation vote, all eyes will be on the election to see if Democrats take back the Senate and then follow through on threats of consequences like expanding the court with enough liberal justices to undo this conservative majority. Joe Biden told 60 Minutes one of his first acts as president would be appointing a bipartisan commission on the subject.
I will ask them to, over 180 days, come back to me with recommendations as to how to reform the court system, because it's getting out of whack.
The Democrats will, if they take the White House, the House, and the Senate, change the rules dramatically and change the country dramatically by expanding the size of the Supreme Court, going from 9 to 11 or 13. And that's just one of the list of horribles that I think they would put into place.
Though Barrett didn't face a full-on assault like Brett Kavanaugh, Republican James Lankford blasted the tactics used against his mother of 2 adopted black children.
Even this candidate is being challenged as a racist, quiet segregationist. It is the firebomb thrown into the middle of a dialogue.
He said those Democrats probably don't actually believe Barrett is a racist.
I have every confidence that the members on the other side would say no, but it plays well to the base.
Meanwhile, Senator Josh Hawley celebrated Barrett's confirmation.
Tonight, we will set a precedent that people of faith, people of the convictions that Judge Barrett has and shares, are welcome in this country in every office. They are welcome on the highest court in the land.
Justice Barrett's first case will likely be about Catholic social services getting kicked out of the foster care business with the city of Philadelphia because it refused to back away from the biblical teaching of one-man, one-woman marriage. The case comes before the court November 4th, a day after the election. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
All right, thank you, Paul. The coronavirus crisis in America, growing cases, and what that means for charities this upcoming holiday season when we return.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
CBN News presents an election night special with live coverage starting at 7 p.m. Get updates on the campaigns, plus analysis on the shifting balance of power. Watch on the CBN News Channel or on the CBN News app.
Welcome back. Well, from mandatory mask orders in Mississippi to citywide curfews in Texas, state and local officials are trying to get a handle on the coronavirus as the number of cases and deaths climb nationwide. Residents of El Paso, Texas are under a 2-week stay-at-home order to combat a county-wide surge. Nearly 1,000 medical personnel have been deployed to staff a civic center that's being converted into a hospital. In Utah, hospitals are running out of beds, too, with one of the biggest facilities in the state reporting near ICU capacity.
University of Utah, one of our biggest hospitals, was at 99% capacity with their ICU. Their nurses and doctors are working extended hours around the clock. They are exhausted. We are in a dire situation. We're the most vulnerable that we've ever been.
And in Oklahoma, bed rates aren't the only thing running low. The Sooner State also dealing with a nursing shortage. Deaths are still well below their peak in April, though we could see another surge in the fall and winter months.
Well, this year, Jenna, as you already know, Thanksgiving and Christmas will take place in the middle of the pandemic. And as they get closer, many charities anticipate greater demand to help those in need.
But as many organizations have already come to learn, raising money looks a little different in the days of COVID-19. Charlene Aaron shows us how one well-known charity is adapting.
You know it's the holiday season when you see and hear those bell ringers from the Salvation Army outside local stores. This year, the charity kicked off an early mission to rescue Christmas as more families struggle due to COVID-19.
People have come to us who used to be donors to the Salvation Army. Since middle of March, we've served more than 100 million meals. We've provided 1.5 million more nights of shelter than we would in a normal year.
Commissioner Kenneth Hodder serves as the Army's national commander. He anticipates those needs, such as feeding families, paying bills, and providing shelter, extending beyond Thanksgiving into Christmas.
We currently project an increase of about 155% over last year, which would mean about 6.6 million people will be coming to the Salvation Army for assistance this Christmas.
In response, it has launched an initiative called Rescue Christmas to head off a potential 50% decrease in donations.
Last year, we raised about $126 million at the Red Kettles. And as you can imagine, a 50% decrease on that figure would be devastating.
With less traffic in malls and shopping centers, fewer bells and kettles will be on display this holiday season, leading the Army to offer new ways for giving.
All of our bell ringers will have all of the necessary PPEs. There'll be social distancing. We'll be cleaning the kettles regularly. In addition to that, however, we're going to provide more near-field technology, which will allow people to give over their phones when they come close to a Salvation Army Christmas kettle. They'll be able to contribute on their phones.
Another high-tech option.
They can simply say, Alexa, donate to the Salvation Army, and they'll be able to do that. Quite remarkable.
Meanwhile, Hodder sees this holiday season as a greater opportunity to meet the spiritual needs of people affected by the challenges of this year.
It is precisely at this time of year and precisely at the moment when all of our human reliance on the things of this earth begins to crumble, we can turn to the source of our true strength, the source of truly rescuing Christmas in the person of Jesus Christ. And so we're anticipating a challenging Christmas season, but ultimately one in which he will be glorified.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thanks, Charlene. Coming up, the world's most dangerous paper route. We explain when Faith Nation returns.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Welcome back. The hurricane season's 27th named storm is making its way toward the Gulf Coast. Zeta is expected to make landfall near New Orleans Wednesday evening. The National Guard gearing up to serve southeast Louisiana as the storm comes ashore.
Have more than 1,150 guardsmen activated. They have a variety of high water vehicles and boats and helicopters pre-positioned for search and rescue efforts. They also have food and water pre-staged for post-storm distribution should that be necessary.
Monday, on its U.S.-bound track, Hurricane Zeta first barreled through the Yucatan Peninsula, a popular tourist destination. The storm currently has maximum sustained winds of about 80 miles an hour. Well, not on my watch. That's what President Trump tweeted about cutting funding for Stars and Stripes.
It's been the newspaper of record for the U.S. military for more than a century. People have died delivering this paper to the troops. Now a filmmaker hopes his documentary on Stars and Stripes will become a call to action. National Security Correspondent Eric Phillips explains.
When Stephen Barber first came up with the idea for his film, The World's Most Dangerous Paper Route, he believed it would be wildly popular, especially among service members worldwide. He did not expect it to play a role in keeping the newspaper's presses printing.
This is their hometown paper away from home.
It's about being connected to home, because a lot of times these guys, once they're gone, and they can't make phone calls. They can't send emails. And the only thing they have is the Stars and Stripes.
Stephen Barber has made several military-themed films, but admits this one is his favorite.
I've seen this movie 10 times.
Told in documentary style, The World's Most Dangerous Paper Route focuses on the 150-year-old Stars and Stripes.
Getting stories from the battlefield can be harrowing, even deadly.
A lot of journalists have been killed in these wars.
Something former reporter Linda Rausch knows all too well.
When you see that, you're sorry. God, it's just hard for me to go back.
Every single day, the paper is distributed to U.S. military installations.
The Stars and Stripes paper route is all over the Middle East. Kuwait, Iraq, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia.
Hence the title of the film, suggested to Barber by one of the paper's reporters.
And he just looked at me and he said, I got the great title, Mike. We'll call it The World's Most Dangerous Paper Route. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I'd love to tell you that I came up with the title, but I didn't. And that was what really blew my mind. Was it's not very often you get a title that draws you in immediately.
Little did Barber know that during production, the Defense Department would plan to stop publishing the paper, moving its $15 million budget to other areas. A group of bipartisan lawmakers lobbied to stop it, however, including Senator Lindsey Graham.
But when I went to Germany, it was a big deal when the paper came. When you're in Iraq and Afghanistan, it was a really huge deal.
And he told me when I interviewed him a couple of years ago, there's no way that this paper's ever going down. Not on my watch. I won't let it happen. Lindsey Graham got it to the White House. The president saw it.
And that led to a presidential tweet that said, the United States of America will not be cutting funding to Stars and Stripes magazine under my watch. It will continue to be a wonderful source of information to our great military. The Pentagon rescinded its order to stop the presses.
You know, because anybody who would watch the film, there's no way they'd shut this newspaper down. People have died delivering this paper to the troops. I don't think any other publication in the world can say that. And a movie is like a cake. you know, you put in the flour, you put in the sugar, you put in the baking powder, and it doesn't always rise. But in this particular case, this film rose to the occasion.
Though the paper is still being published for now, the question over its funding remains. Lawmakers have indicated Congress may directly fund the paper, though that line was not included in its initial budget. The world's most dangerous paper route is available on Amazon Prime. Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Thanks, Eric. A charity walk, that is, that blows a 5K out of the water. That story next.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances.
I'll give you my best praise.
Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Finally tonight, a group that aims to provide some of our military heroes with mental health services and peer support is now on the receiving end.
2 Pennsylvania veterans are hitting the road to help the Wounded Warrior Project. Sergeants Joe Webb and Cody McCormick are lacing up their sneakers and hitting the road. Their goal to raise money and awareness for the organization. Their trek, a 170-mile walk.
Every step that we take, every pain that we feel, we're doing it in honor of those who have served and sacrificed. So any thoughts that I'm going to have are going to be with them and their families, and we're doing this for them, and we're honored to do it.
The pair of vets hopes to make the journey in about 5 days. They've already raised close to $6,000.
And hopefully they have comfy shoes.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Faith Nation.
Have a great night.